We're going to start it off this hour in Milford, Illinois, where David is on the line. David, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
How you doing, Ken? Thanks for taking my call.
Well, I'm happy to, David. How can I help?
Well, I'd like to know how I can get compensated for what I do best.
Which is?
Which is helping small businesses find new products and services to bring to market.
Interesting. Do you have a long background in this?
No. Well, yes, mainly with former and past employers and with friends that were business owners or are business owners.
Now, do you specialize?
To do...
sorry. So I interrupted because I want to get more clear here on what you're looking to do. So so you would come alongside of an existing business and you said small business, so an existing small business, and are you looking at their current products and services and going, okay, this is what you need to do to grow those, or are you coming in going, here are areas that you're not in, or here are products and services that you need to be creating?
Well, I come in and sit down and talk to them, see where they're at, and find out where they want to go. And then I've come up with ideas and different options for them to go over and choose.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. To answer your question, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to have to build this thing from the ground up. And it's very similar to, honestly, like a realtor, a financial advisor who's going to start on their own. You're not going to work for somebody. So, you either do this yourself or you go to work for a consulting company that does this for people. And there's not a ton of those popping up and all around. So this is something that you would have to create. In my mind, this is something you have to create on the side. And you're going to have to start with just one. Don't get overwhelmed with this. But this is not a business, David, that unless you have a huge reputation. So let's say that you're an executive for a Fortune 500 company. Well, if you step out and say, look, I'm starting my own consulting business, that's a whole different ballgame. You've got a ton of connections, a very credible background and reputation, and the connections to probably fill that pipeline before he ever walks or she walks. In your situation, I don't assume that you're in that situation. Am I correct in assuming that?
You are correct.
All right, so then you're going to have to build this just like anybody else, like even a lawyer straight out of law school who wants to start his own firm. It's great.
Okay.
You started your own firm, but guess what? We need clients. And so instead of trying to do this full-time, I want you doing this part-time because of two reasons. Number one, you're going to have to prove this. And the only way to prove it is really one at a time, certainly when you're new at it. The second reason is it takes all the pressure off of you. I mean, it's like I want you having a good day job that is not a conflict of interest, and it's not, so intense that you have no brain matter or no bandwidth left to be able to do some consulting. So ideally something that's very flexible or that's not, consuming a tremendous amount of your energy, so that you have time at night and weekends to do some consulting for people. And the best way to get this thing started is right there in Milford, Illinois, in your zip code. Because there's got to be some small business people that yes or no?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Well, here's
Can I ask you this?
Yeah, go for
it. In the research phase, I ran into major roadblocks because I could not find anybody within 60 miles that does what I'm doing. So I was trying to, find somebody that I could kind of get as a mentor, but I'm not having any luck with that.
Well,
do you have any suggestions?
Well, yes and no. What did you find outside of 60 miles? Did you find anybody?
Yes, but they're all large firms.
Yeah. Do they have an event that they do? Do they do certification? Do they do any training?
That I did not look into.
I'd start following all those people on social media. See what information you can get from them. So that's all part of the research thing. Are there conferences, webinars that are in your space where you can pick up some things? Because here's the thing. Here's why I said yes and no. You've done this in the past, so your confidence level, just on your own, is how high on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no confidence, 10 being off the charts. What's your confidence level that you could come in and help a small business do what it is that you think you can help them do?
7.
Okay, what do you think you're missing? What gets you to a 9? Is it experience or is it some sort of certification / qualification?
I would say qualification, just my own, self-confidence.
Yeah.
type.
So my point is this: what are the qualifications out there? Is there some sort of certification process for a business coach? I mean, anybody can say they're a business coach.
Right.
For the people who call themselves business coaches or business consultants, do they have letters after their name? If they do, what is it? Is it a master's degree? Well, then that to me is worth nothing.
Right.
An MBA doesn't make you a good business consultant.
Right.
I know I just stepped on some toes, but I'm just being honest. The MBA is
Well,
nice,
yeah,
but I mean, come on.
you can have an MBA and not have empathy for your client.
How about having an MBA and never actually been in a business or run a business before?
Right.
I'll take you, David, every day of the week over an MBA because you've done this before. Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. So here's my point. I'd go spend a little bit of time and find out if there's some sort of industry standard. You understand what I'm saying? So is there some sort of industry standard or qualification or certification or something like that that exists for people who do what you do? If it is, then look into that. How much is that going to cost you? How long is that going to take based on your budget? Then I'd look into that. But other than that, are you gainfully employed right now?
I am.
Great. Stay in the day job. And
absolutely.
And then here's the deal. Here's a crazy idea. Do you know any small business people that you would consider friends or acquaintances in Milford, Illinois?
Yes.
Do you think you could help their business grow?
Yeah.
What if you propose that you were working for free for them? You were a consultant for 6 months, 3 months, you come up with it, whatever the relevant offer would be. But in 90 days or 120 days or 100 and whatever, you make it up. In 3 to 6 months, if you can get them from here to there, they give you a piece of the action.
Okay.
Straight commission consulting. Pretty risk-free as far as I'm concerned. Or
absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? You just got to get in the game, man. You just got to start consulting and start delivering results. If you deliver results for people, David, guess what they're going to do?
They're going to use me.
They're going to use you.
Give me referrals.
They're going to recommend you. They're going to endorse you. And now we got ourselves a side business. And how many clients would we need to have to where you could step away from the day job? You know what you need to make. So this is not as complex as we make it. What has to be true for you to step into this full time? That's what you have to answer. Write that out on paper today before you go to bed. This has to be true for me to be full-time as a small business consultant. Write it out. And folks, when we get it out of our head and we get it on paper, this is proven. This is neuroscience. Psychology supports all of this. When we get it out of our head and we write it down on paper, it's the same reason that people tell you that writing down your goals is more powerful. You begin to focus on it. You begin to see it all the time. You begin to think about it, and you begin to see possibilities and results that you never saw before. This is a great opportunity for me to, again, this isn't just for David, but this is for all of you. And this is the idea here that reticular activating system that I've talked about. We know this from neuroscience. Our brain works as a camera. Whatever we think about, whatever we focus on is what our brain will go out and take pictures of to support the thought. So if we, and in this case, David, starts thinking about all the different people he could probably help and how he'd help them, and he begins to think about it, and he goes, all right, I'm going to start with one client. I'm going to go in and try to deliver some results. He starts thinking about that. He's going to start noticing things he didn't notice before. If he writes down today, as I told him to, this has to be true for me to be able to step into this full time. And he gets that out of his head. He's going to begin to see that plan and see opportunities and next steps and everything that he needs to see to be able to actually believe and do. That happens when we begin to think about things specifically and intentionally. The brain is amazing. We'll go out and give you all sorts of supporting evidence. So that's your homework assignment, David. Go, go, go.